The story kicks off with our guy's girlfriend saying the engagement gift is 1 million, plus an additional 120 for the apartment, totaling 8 million yen. Matsushima Yuto explains that he's been saving up ever since he met Masa in high school 11 years ago, but if they're asking for another 1,600,000, he's got nowhere to pull it from. But the girl's mother, Kawasaki Tame, isn't having any of it and says that to marry her daughter, he needs to show his sincerity with some cold, hard cash. So, the stepfather, Yoshio, suggests that Yuto sell an apartment his father left him, since it's in a great location and would solve the problem. Our protagonist replies that it was something left by his father's company and isn't something he can just up and sell. Hearing this, the girlfriend's mother gets ticked off and yells that it's not that he can't sell it, but that he won't. Walks over to our guy. She leads him outside the house. And out there, Masa asks if Yuto can't figure out a way to get the money, since her mom has a point. The young woman insists that if he really wants to marry her, he needs to find a way to come up with the extra cash. Our hero then agrees to get the money but asks for a little time to sort it out. The girl says goodbye, telling him she's counting on him because this is his responsibility. After their chat, our guy heads to his job at a coffee shop. When he gets there, his coworkers mention he's being way too frugal with his lunch, and he tells them he needs a lot of money lately. Just then, our guy hears the voice of his fiancée Masa talking to someone else. Masa's friend complains that all she ever talks about is money and says her fiancé should be the son of some super rich guy. After Masa reveals she cheated with some super rich dude who then dumped her, her friend is stunned. Masa confesses she has no choice because she found out she's expecting and needs to get married fast before things get complicated. Overhearing everything, our protagonist is completely floored by his fiancée's revelation. Suddenly, the young woman calls him over, asking for water and calling him irresponsible for working in a place like that. The girl keeps complaining and asks why he isn't answering, telling him to hurry up. She stands up and says she's going to complain to the manager about the restaurant. Our hero then heads to the employee break room, completely shaken by what he just heard. Sitting on the floor, he tries to process the betrayal of the woman he loves so much. He gets a call asking him to pick up some Saki-chan from the airport because she's moving to Tokyo. Our guy agrees and gets himself ready. After work, our guy goes home and takes a shower. In the shower, he screams in anger, wondering if money is the only thing that matters to people. Suddenly, a mysterious voice appears, saying that his anger has reached its peak and that the global economy has been modified. Our protagonist is confused, not understanding who's talking to him. After all that, the guy leaves his house and rushes to catch a bus to the airport. As he boards the vehicle, our protagonist asks the driver how much the fare is. The driver starts laughing out loud, thinking it's a joke, and tells him to save the gags for when he's sleeping. Other passengers also make fun of him, saying that paying for a bus with yen is rarer than winning the lottery. Yuto is confused, wondering why they're acting like he's crazy since the fare is 1,000 yen. He then ignores the others and asks the driver for the price, because the back is crowded and he just wants to get on. At that, a man in a suit stands up and accuses him of pretending to be rich, saying he couldn't get 1 yen even if he sold his body. Our guy gets annoyed and asks what his problem is, since he only asked for the fare and has 200 yen on him. The passengers laugh again, saying that 200 yen is a ton of money, and someone like him wouldn't have such a large amount. The man in the suit boasts that he's taking the bus today because his car is in the shop and offers to pay his fare for him. Our hero looks around and notices there are no cameras, so it doesn't seem to be a prank show. The driver, losing his patience, asks if he's getting on or not, and tells him to get off if he's just messing around. The guy then confirms it's 200 yen and flips 2 100 yen coins into the air. Everyone on the bus is shocked and in disbelief to see that he actually has 100 yen coins. The man in the suit, in shock, yells that it's impossible, wondering how a kid like him could have something like that. Yuto then remembers the mysterious voice from the shower and wonders if this system really did change the world. He asks the driver if he can make change for 100 yen, and the man replies that the fare is 10 mun, and he doesn't have that much change. The guy is shocked to realize that the value of money has changed drastically, and 100 yen has become a fortune. Finding the situation super weird, he decides to play dumb and get off the bus as quickly as possible. As soon as his feet touch the ground, our protagonist tries to make sense of the new reality around him. He notices that a cell phone now costs 1 sen, a designer bag 17 sen, and a Rolex about 1 yen. Our guy then gets worried about the 10,000 yen he got from his salary and decides to go to the bank to sort it out. He heads to the nearest bank branch to try to deposit his money and understand the situation. Inside the bank, he waits his turn until his number is called for teller number 3. The teller greets him and asks how she can help, and he replies that he'd like to make a deposit. He then hands over the money, saying it's 100,000 yen, and that he'd also like to set up online and mobile banking. The employee is completely stunned by the amount and says she can't handle that much money alone and will call the manager. The machine then counts our guy's money and confirms that all the bills are real. Bank employee informs him that the 1,000 and 10,000 yen bills are important and have special security measures. Our protagonist is led to a VIP room. The bank employee enters the room and confirms the deposit of 100,000 yen for Matsushima. Then the woman asks if our hero wishes to deposit the full amount. But our guy prefers to keep 3 yen for smaller expenses, and the woman is impressed, thinking he must be the heir to a major corporation. The door to the room opens, and in walks our guy's ex Mayabi with an older man, bragging about how she convinced the man to marry her. Mayabi announces that she's a married woman now and shows off how excited she is. The older man then squeezes Mayabi's behind, laughing and saying that stealing another man's woman is thrilling. Our protagonist, annoyed, confronts Mayabi, and she, surprised, asks what he's doing there. Mayabi implies he's there to ask for a loan, and Yuta retorts that he won't be marrying her. The girl then gets angry and asks what his problem is, thinking she's so great for having a husband and a boyfriend at the same time. Our hero is disgusted with Mayabi and tells her she's the worst kind of woman, then excuses himself since his transaction is complete. The bank employee then asks if Matsushima will allow the branch manager to greet him personally. However, the older man interrupts and says that first, Matsushima must apologize for insulting Mayabi. Our guy then stares down the man and tells him not to underestimate him. The older man then yells and introduces himself as the president of the Tenryu group and talks about the taxes he pays. He then says he can halt all the bank's transactions immediately, and 2 security guards appear, asking what's going on. The president of the Tenryu group tells the security guards to throw Matsushima out because he's not welcome there. However, one of the guards surprises everyone and says that Matsushima is a very important VIP. At that moment, the bank manager arrives, apologizes for the delay, and introduces himself as Bukatsu. Manager Bukatsu shakes our protagonist's hand and says he will receive a black diamond card and VIP services for depositing 100,000 yen. The president of the Tenryu group and Mayabi are shocked and ask the manager if the money is fake. Manager Bukatsu gets angry and says he cannot ignore insults to a bank client and threatens to cut off the old man's future loans. The president of the Tenryu group panics and begs them not to cut off the loans, as his company will go bankrupt. Mayabi tries to take advantage of the situation and clings to our hero's arm, saying she was wrong and that he's the only one for her. Our guy, annoyed, tells the manager to throw them both out of the room. The manager promptly complies and tells the security guards to remove the 2, while the president of the Tenryu group continues to beg. After all the commotion, Matsushima finally arrives at the airport. Matsushima worries that his sister might be impatient after waiting so long at the bank. Just then, a female voice asks why he took so long to find his little sister. Then Matsushima turns around and sees Saki, calling out to her. He apologizes for the delay, and Saki suggests he buy her an ice cream to make up for it. Matsushima notices his sister is still as adorable as ever and mentions the heat, suggesting a drink instead. He then thinks about going to a Starbucks, and Saki goes along with it. With that, his sister warns him that airport prices are steep and suggests they buy something outside. Suddenly, a guy bumps into the protagonist. Just then, a guy named Shinji Yamada shows up and asks if Matsushima is going to Starbucks and offers him a coffee. Shinji's friend, Shouta Furukawa, comments that Matsushima doesn't look like he has money for coffee. Matsushima then asks Saki if she knows these people, and she says they're classmates from the university. They then walk away, and Saki comments on students who sponge off their parents. Shinji then laughs and says Matsushima probably doesn't even have money to buy water. Tamaki Nidu, Shinji's friend, tells him to stop talking because she doesn't want the smell of poverty on her. Our hero receives a system notification telling him to spend 1 yen in 2 hours to get a bonus. Our hero seizes the moment to test the system and flips a coin in the air. Then Tamaki Nidu tells Shinji to stop wasting time on poor people and to get going. The girl then complains that her throat is dry in a very provocative way. Shinji Yamada offers to buy her any drink she desires. So a man runs by and bumps hard into the guy. He spins around and yells, cursing, asking where he's looking. With that, 2 girls excitedly comment on a rumor that everything is free at one of the stores. Shinji and his friends are shocked to hear that everything is free and decide to go check it out. The guy then asks an employee if the rumor is true, and she confirms that it is. The employee then points to Matsushima and reveals that today's tab will. Our hero then tells everyone to enjoy themselves and drink as much as they want because of the heat. Matsushima then asks Saki if her drink is any good, and she replies that it's a little bitter. Just then, Shinji walks up and asks what our guy is trying to pull with all this. Our protagonist offers Shinji a drink, who insults him for acting like he's some big shot. He then continues, saying that even dogs wouldn't drink such cheap chain store coffee. At that, all the people drinking the free coffee shoot him some very dirty looks. Shinji then yells that he doesn't need drinks that poor people who've never traveled would have. With that, the people who got the free coffee get furious with Shinji. The crowd then moves in and starts pummeling the guy without mercy. On the ground and all beat up, the young man begs his friend Shouta for help. But Shouta and the girls pretend they don't know Shinji, afraid of getting roughed up too. Our protagonist then tells the guy not to think he can win over his sister with pocket change. Saki then asks if it was okay to spend so much, and our hero says he'd do anything for her. After the incident, the siblings head to a taxi stand to leave. At that moment, our guy receives a mission complete notification. He then sees that with the manager's investment, he completed the mission and his stamina has tripled. While they wait for the taxi, Saki asks where the car is, and he checks the number. Suddenly, our hero's sister points to a red car approaching and compliments it. To everyone's surprise, the driver is manager Yanaji, who asks what Matsushima is doing there. Our protagonist explains that he came to pick up his sister to take her to the university dorm. At that, Saki reminds him of an important project presentation that he had forgotten about. Our hero then says the project is important, and Saki encourages him to go to work without worrying about her. Saki even jokes that he shouldn't waste the chance to work with a beautiful woman. Manager Yanaji asks if he said something, and our embarrassed protagonist just asks to get in the car. In a sweet moment, he thinks that he's always fought for money and wants the job even with a low salary. On the way to work, Manager Yanaji asks him to review the presentation materials. Yanaji encourages him, saying that if the project gets approved, there will be a bonus of hundreds of yen. The manager places her hand on our guy's leg, who, startled, asks her to focus on the road. But the woman says with a smile that he should feel honored to fall for her tricks. Just then, they finally arrive at the large company building where they work. Inside the office, a man named Ogata Kusuke is throwing Matsushima's things off his desk. Matsushima then asks what's going on, and Ogata says he doesn't have a spot there anymore. Our protagonist then demands his things back, but Ogata arrogantly refuses to return them. Ogata gets close to our hero and threatens him, asking if he wants to settle this with a fight. But to his surprise, Matsushima reacts first and grabs Ogata's hand tightly. With his new enhanced strength, our guy easily overpowers Ogata, who screams in pain from the grip. A man appears and tells our hero to let Ogata go, who wonders how he got so strong all of a sudden. The man introduces himself as Manager Kawai and says he decided to pass the presentation to Ogata due to our guy's lack of skill. Matsushima gets angry and questions the decision to steal his plan at the last minute, and Kawai tells him to leave if he's not satisfied. Suddenly, a hand slams down on the table, and a female voice says she won't allow this to happen. Manager Yanaji then appears and defends our protagonist, saying the plan was developed by him, so there's no substitute. Kawai says the matter has nothing to do with Yanaji, but she confronts him about giving orders to her subordinates. The manager then threatens her with a furious glare, saying she'll see what's coming to her soon. After Kawai leaves, she tells our hero not to worry about it and to focus on the presentation. Our protagonist then realizes that despite being strict, Manager Yanaji is very good at taking care of people. With that, the two finally head to the conference room where the important meeting will take place. After a while, Manager Yanaji finishes the presentation. President of Huge Tech, Oda Akira, praises the presentation, saying it was incredible and exceeded expectations. Excited, celebrates the success by giving our guy a high five and congratulating him on his work. But the manager gets a little too close, leaving our protagonist completely flustered. Oda Akira then says that when the president arrives, they will discuss an agreement regarding the company's debt. Manager Yanaji is confused and asks what debt agreement this is, as she wasn't aware of anything. At that moment, Kawai appears and reveals a debt of hundreds of yen on the company's books. She denies the accusation, saying there's nothing of the sort in the records of the company they work for. Kawai then reveals with a smirk that she was tricked and that the accounting books she saw were fake. The manager is in shock as she realizes it might have all been a trap, and Kawai mocks her for falling for the plan. Manager Yanaji then despairs, lamenting that she built the company with so much sacrifice and dedication. With that, Kawai reveals that they created a new company and that President Kinoshita will buy the current one for only 90 yen. The woman is shocked by the price and realizes they are blatantly taking advantage of her weakness. Kawai then mocks the manager, saying she doesn't even have 90 yen, and announces the arrival of the president of Huge Tech. At that moment, President Kinoshita and the bank manager Fujiwara enter the room, greeted by Kawai. Kinoshita tells Fujiwara that he wants to meet the person who deposited 100,000 yen, but the manager explains that it's a VIP client. But Oda Kira is surprised to see our hero in the room and asks what he's doing there. The two older men are then shocked to realize that the person they are looking for is our protagonist. President Kinoshita introduces himself and shakes our guy's hand, saying it's a great honor to meet him. Desperate says that Kinoshita is mistaken, as Matsushima is just a janitor at their company. Kinoshita then yells at Kawai, calling him a fool and revealing that our hero is a wealthy man who deposited 100,000 yen. Our protagonist then says that buying his company is out of the question and that he will take care of the debt himself. He then looks at everyone with an air of superiority, making it clear that the situation has completely changed. With that, our hero turns to the manager and reveals that those men created fake books to sell the company. Our guy then asks manager Fujiwara to investigate the fraud used to sell the company illegally. Oda Akira then agrees to cooperate with the authorities to conduct a full investigation into the case. At this, Kawai panics and denies the accusations, saying that none of it can be true. But it's too late, and a news report shows that he was arrested for embezzlement and document forgery. After all the chaos, our hero and manager Yanaji go out to celebrate with some good wine. She then thanks our guy for saving her company, and the two toast to the success of the new business. Our protagonist says that she will lead the company but advises her not to be fooled so easily again. The woman then drinks a bit more wine and says with a seductive look that she always falls in love too quickly. She then stands up and suggests they have one more toast to celebrate the special moment. But suddenly manager Yanaji trips and ends up twisting her foot in a very painful way. Our hero catches her, and she says she twisted her ankle, asking him to take her to a room. With a provocative look, she asks him to promise he won't do anything weird with her upstairs. Our protagonist gets the hint and picks her up in his arms to carry her to the hotel room. With that, the two proceed down an elegant hallway towards the room. He places her on the bed and says goodbye, calling her the new president, but she seems to have other plans. Manager Yanaji then stops him from leaving by wrapping her leg around his waist. She then pulls him close and hugs him tightly from behind in a moment full of romance. With a seductive smile, she says that this time, he was the one fooled by her tricks. Our hero then lays her on the bed, and the mood between them becomes increasingly intense and hot. Then, without any more words, the two give in to the moment and kiss. The next morning, manager Yanaji wakes up and laments having fallen for our hero's tricks. With that, she teases him, saying he lasted for 6 straight hours, and that it must be due to his lack of stamina. But our protagonist, with a mischievous smile, reminds her that she was the one who provoked him in the first place. Manager Yanaji then plays along and, with a seductive pose, asks if this is how young people are nowadays. She then continues with the teasing, making a very naughty face at our guy, who gets the message. The two then get back to it, but the manager asks him to stop, because she can't take any more. Already dressed, our hero gets a system notification to spend 50 cents by the end of the day for a random bonus. With that, he meets up with manager Yanaji and suggests they invest a little more in the company. However, the woman turns down our protagonist's investment offer, saying she doesn't need it. Yanaji says that despite the incident with Kawai, she's confident she can take the company to a whole new level. She then says this is the best way to repay the majority shareholder and gives him a surprise kiss. This leaves manager Yanaji completely embarrassed. The woman then feels her legs get weak and jokes that it's all our guy's fault. Our protagonist suggests she take the day off, but she refuses, saying she has an important meeting. With that, she struggles to her feet and says she'll get back up on her own strength and determination. After the long night, our hero says goodbye to the manager and says he's going to catch another nap. But he gets a call from his friend Yamaguchi and is shocked to learn that his aunt has been hospitalized. Without a second thought, our protagonist rushes to Musashi Hospital to find his friend. When he gets there, he finds Yamaguchi and his aunt, who is lying in a hospital bed looking weak. The woman laments, saying she's never been sick before, and that this is something new for her. At this, our guy tries to calm her down, telling her not to worry, as it's just built-up fatigue. He then reminisces with his friend, Yamochi Wataru, about the times they used to eat at his house when they were students. Yamaguchi then thinks about asking to borrow money for the expenses, but gives up on the idea. The guy believes our hero is in trouble himself and that it would be impossible for him to help right now. Suddenly, a nurse and 2 muscular guys appear in the hallway and head toward the woman's room. One of the men enters the room and tells Miss Yamaguchi that she needs to move immediately. Yamaguchi Wataru then stands up and asks what's going on but is blocked from passing by the beefy guys. He then yells angrily that he promised to pay the fees in a few days and that they can't just kick them out like this. The nurse then explains that they received 1 yen and that they're going to transfer her to the VIP room. Yamaguchi is stunned by the amount, and the woman looks at our protagonist, revealing that he was the one who paid. The two men then scoop up Mrs. Yamaguchi and carry her to the new room in a very cheerful manner. Yamaguchi's aunt gets all giddy over the muscular guys and asks them to get a little closer. They then call her Princess and carry her playfully down the hospital hallway. With that, they finally arrive at the new room, which is a special high-end suite. In the room, the two guys take off their jackets and say they'll be available for her 24 hours a day. Yamaguchi Wataru, still in shock, asks our hero if he's dreaming and asks for a pinch. Our guy then grants his request and punches him, and his friend yells out in pain. Our protagonist then says that's the punishment for not telling him about the hospital expenses. The guy then apologizes to his friend, feeling awkward about the whole unexpected situation. At this, our hero consoles him and tells him to come to him if he needs money because his aunt is the priority. Just then, our guy gets a mission complete notification and sees that he's acquired the bonus. MMIs are a ruler. He's then confused and wonders what this weird new bonus could possibly mean for him. Meanwhile, in the next room, a young woman asks about the health of her father, who is hospitalized. The young woman is named Yanamika and she's a university student. The man says he's fine, and that he called her to entrust her with managing the family business. The man then hands her materials for an important project for the family company. He says that Mika is a top student and that he believes she can handle the project. The young woman says she'll consider it carefully and asks her father not to tell her brother Shinji anything. With that, the woman says her goodbyes and leaves in a hurry so as not to be late for her university class. Just then, an old woman and two men watch her from a distance, commenting that she looks like a rich girl. The old woman then approaches Mika. Then, the elderly woman falls to the ground and screams in pain, pretending to have been knocked over by Mika. The scammer then grabs Mika's leg and accuses her of not watching where she was going. The two men then appear and accuse the young woman of pretending nothing happened to get away. One of the con artists threatens her, saying he'll contact her university to report her. But suddenly, our hero appears and catches the girl before she falls. At that moment, our protagonist system activates, and he asks the woman if she's okay. With his new ability, our guy is confused by the F measurement, making him question what kind of measurement it is. The scammer throws herself on the ground and screams for help, accusing the young woman of pushing her. The woman is completely confused and thinks that maybe she did bump into the old lady since she was walking fast. But our hero warns her not to admit to anything, as it's all a setup, leaving the woman clueless. Our protagonist then realizes that his new ability activates when he focuses on something. With that, the system shows that the old woman started to fall when the girl was still 3 centimeters away. The system also reveals that there are people with cameras on the 2nd and 4th floors to film the scene. Matsushima then realizes it's a perfect setup to get footage and blame the girl. So he makes a cute face at the girl and says he was just talking to break the ice. Our guy asks if she's picked a fight with someone, because these are professional scammers. Inspired by our hero, the woman takes the lead and says firmly that she did not bump into the old lady. The scammer gets annoyed and points at the girl, saying the hospital's security cameras will prove everything. The young woman agrees to see the cameras but points out that they don't show such quick details. She then explains that there's software that analyzes everything in slow motion and the truth will come out. She says she'll pay for the expensive software if she's guilty, but if she's innocent, they'll pay for everything. Afraid of being exposed, the old woman and her accomplices decide to flee as quickly as possible. Watches the scammers run off, satisfied that her plan worked just as expected. Our protagonist then asks if the software really exists, and she reveals it was all a lie. With that, the two form an instant connection and seem to get along right off the bat. The woman then introduces herself as Yamada Mika and thanks our guy for helping her. He introduces himself as Yudo Matsushima, and Mika invites him to visit her at the university. As the girl walks away, our hero wonders if she doesn't suspect him for being so casual. But he shakes his head and thinks that he has no connection to people like that. Suddenly, our protagonist realizes it's already 6 o'clock and the day has flown by. Later that night, in his rented apartment, our hero decides to relax a bit after the hectic day. With that, he throws himself on the couch and grabs his phone to watch a live stream. Our guy then sees that the dancer Yukachi is in a battle against the gaming streamer Marinian, has a huge lead, and her fans are showering her with compliments and virtual gifts. Meanwhile, Marinian seems to be losing, and her supporters are trying to turn the tables in her favor. With victory in the bag, Yukachi wonders what the punishment for her opponent will be. The dancer then decides that Marinian will have to play using her feet, and the chat goes wild. At that moment, our hero's ability activates again while he's watching the stream. With his sharp vision, he notices that her legs are out of proportion and the table next to her is distorted. Yukachi is furious with the comment and yells that her body has been like this since the beginning of the stream. Without even being able to reply, our protagonist is immediately blocked from the live stream. Her fans accuse him of being a hater, and Yukachi tells everyone she has already blocked the malicious comments. With that, our guy is kicked out of the stream and is outraged that he can't even voice his opinion. He then sees that Marinian is still live and decides to check out her stream. The streamer is panicking because the battle time is running out, and she's losing badly. In the chat, some are discouraging her, but suddenly Matsushima sends 5 giant raft gifts. The huge donation leaves both Yukachi and Marinian completely shocked. Raft costs only 1 yen, but the grand gesture turns the tide and secures Marinian's victory. With the battle completely flips, and the result appears on the phone screen. Marinian is overjoyed and thanks Yudo-san, our protagonist handle, for the huge support on the stream. At this, Yukachi is shocked and wonders if this Yudo is the same guy she blocked earlier. She then tries to appeal to her fans with a sensual pose to try to turn the game around. But our hero sends 10 more rafts, crushing any chance for his rival. With that, Marinian celebrates and says it's time for Yukachi to pay up on the bet. Our protagonist then uses a paid feature and gets his commenting rights back. Fans mock Yukachi and ask our guy to humiliate her more. With no choice, the streamer bows and apologizes, accepting the game's punishment. Our hero looks at his phone screen with a surprised expression. He then receives a message from Marinian thanking him, but offering a refund. Our protagonist is confused and wonders if he seems suspicious to her. He replies that it's all good and that the money was no big deal to him. The woman sees that he lives in the same district and invites him to dinner as a thank you. Matsushima thinks she's targeting him for spending a lot, but he understands that's how streamers are. Our hero thinks that a free meal is no crime and accepts the woman's invitation. Meanwhile, at Marinian's house, we see that she lives in a very luxurious mansion. Inside the house, the young woman's closet is full of expensive and chic designer bags. Her mother complains that her daughter stays in her room all day and leaves her talking to herself. Marinian appears all excited and says that streaming is a job and she came to talk. The young woman hugs her mother, and the lady says she doesn't need to work because she gives her an allowance. The mother points to her daughter's necklace and says it's expensive and she couldn't pay for it with her streams. The girl replies that she doesn't stream for money but because it's fun. She then shows her phone and tells her mother that she met an interesting person. The mother gets serious and reminds her that she has an arranged marriage with an heir. The woman tries to argue, but her mother tells her to take it up with her father. Night falls and our protagonist goes out for a walk through the bustling city. Feeling hungry, he decides he wants a drink at an izakaya to relax. Our guy is already picturing some grilled chicken and an ice-cold beer in front of him. He then arrives at the izakaya Teo restaurant, where there's a commotion because the owner owes some people money. The restaurant owner explains that sales have dropped but promises he'll pay everything back. But the landlady says this isn't a charity and tells him to get out if he doesn't have the money. She then threatens to take the kitchen equipment, leaving the man desperate. Angrily, the woman orders her goons to go in and take everything they can find. The owner says the grill is special and that the debt is only 150. One of the thugs then shoves a young man who tries to stop them from taking the stuff. But suddenly, a hand grabs the goon's shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. The man is startled because his body won't move, and our hero calmly appears. Our protagonist then asks the lady how much the owner of the place owes her. The woman gets annoyed by the intrusion and asks who our guy is. The landlady then questions him and says there's no way he's gonna pay the debt for the owner. She then gets irritated and says that out of kindness, she had already set the rent very low for him. The woman explains that the area is going to be redeveloped, so there's no way the rent can stay the same. With that, she yells that the 3 shops next door are hers and that she already has an offer of 2 yen. Our protagonist then calmly takes his phone out of his pocket. He then calls manager Fujiwara and makes an offer of 1 yen a month in rent for the place. Our hero confirms on the phone that all the purchase paperwork has been successfully completed. With that, he hangs up and says the place now belongs to him, so there's no need to argue. The woman goes completely nuts and screams that the building is in her name and she would never sell it. Annoyed, she orders her goons to clear everything out of the restaurant immediately. But our guy steps in front of the thugs and stops them from taking another step. Without much effort, he throws both goons away with a single, swift move. The landlady is frightened by the scene and screams that she's going to call the police on our hero. Matsushima then reveals that he confirmed she only has the right to use the commercial property. Suddenly, two giant excavators appear on the street, parked and ready for action. Our hero then reveals with a smile that he just bought the land for the entire city block. With that, one of the construction workers asks where they should start the demolition. The landlady is terrified by the excavator and asks what he plans to do with all that. He then threatens her, saying he can destroy the entire area and no one will want to rent anymore. Matsushima says a few hundred yen is pocket change for him, and the woman realizes she's in deep trouble. With no other choice, the landlady throws herself on the ground and begs for our guy's forgiveness. She explains that she went bankrupt and the rent was her only income, but he says she knows what to do. Crying, she offers to cut the rent in half and even pay the water and electricity bills. Our protagonist accepts the woman's proposal and ends the matter. At that moment, the system appears and notifies him of a new mission and a bonus for his actions. After sorting everything out, our hero finally decides to eat some skewers at the restaurant. The owner thanks him and says the place is reserved for him to eat and drink as much as he wants. Our guy tells him not to be so formal and says he's now a fan of the place's flavor. The owner then brags about his secret sauce and promises to work even harder from now on. Suddenly, manager Yanagi appears and questions him for eating yakitori in such a simple place. Yanagi tries a skewer and admits that the place is actually very good and delicious. Our hero wonders what her reaction would be if she knew the restaurant's billion-yen value. He then leans in to smell her, and the woman gets flustered, telling him to stop it. Yanagi plays along and says she'll let him smell her when they get home. But our protagonist changes the subject and says he wants to start a new company with her help. She agrees to be his secretary and comments that the type of business depends on the office's location. Our guy says it will be an investment firm and that the best location is the ideal one. Then he gets the idea that he'll get a bonus if he helps her buy the company's headquarters building. With that, the woman gets excited and they toast, but she warns him not to waste money. Yanagi then asks the chef to prepare some skewers to go, and the owner agrees right away. Our protagonist is completely embarrassed by the situation and wonders why all of this is happening. Later that night, the two arrive in front of a large, luxurious building in the city. The woman then hugs him and accuses him of going out with other girls while she works hard. Our hero denies everything, but she says she can smell another woman's perfume on him. She then tells him to just call her when he needs her and that she'll take care of everything for him. Our hero agrees with the woman, and she invites him to go to her place right away. But as they walk, a shadowy figure watches them from a distance, hidden. Suddenly, our protagonist's ability activates. He realizes he's being followed. Our hero then takes Yanagi's hand and asks her to wait a moment because he needs to take care of something. He then fakes a stomachachi and wonders if the skewers made him feel sick. Matsushima says he can't make it tonight and she can go home, but the woman thinks he's bailing on her. Yanagi then warns him that if he cancels again, he'll have to pay double for the date. Our guy agrees to the condition and assures her that next time, he'll definitely show up. Yanagi then walks away, and he turns around and tells the hidden person to come out since they've been spotted. Three men in suits appear, and the leader praises our protagonist for being pretty sharp. The henchman says he pissed off the wrong person, and is gonna regret it big time. At that, two of the thugs pull out their bats and get ready to attack our hero. One of the men then charges forward and tries to hit our guy in the head with a powerful swing, but Matsushima easily blocks the attack, catching the bat with just one of his hands. He's surprised because even with his enhanced strength, he's on the same level as the goon. Our protagonist backs away and says it's all a misunderstanding and they don't need to fight. He then pulls a wad of cash from his pocket and says he can pay if that's the problem. But they don't care and strike the protagonist, who ends up letting all the money fly. The leader pulls out two knives and warns that money won't solve this. No one will hear our hero scream. The man then lunges forward and yells for our guy to stay out of things that aren't his business. But suddenly, someone taps the attacker on the shoulder, complimenting his physique. Suddenly, a crowd of elderly people appears, thinking it's all for a TV movie shoot. Just then, Yanagi appears and offers a 1-cent advance to anyone who wants to be in the scene. Our protagonist is shocked by her appearance and calls her Mayumi-san, not understanding. The woman then throws the money in the air and says they tried to fool her, but it won't be that easy. With that, the crowd surrounds the henchman, taking pictures and celebrating that they're going to be in a movie. With a smirk, our hero says that money brings together the strongest forces and asks if they're going to give up. One of the goons is hugged by an old lady and says she reminds him of his grandma, and the leader tells him to get a move on. With no other choice, the three thugs take off running and flee from the whole mess. Yanagi then dismisses the crowd, saying the shoot is over, and thanks everyone for their help. Our protagonist watches the men run away and wonders who hired them to attack him. The next day, we see the front of the bank where our guy's girl works. Yanaji appears, yawning, and complains that she's sleepy and was almost late. Suddenly, the manager is accused of slacking off while she calmly sips her coffee. Two men reprimand her, saying a banker needs to have a clean appearance and be disciplined. An older gentleman also complains, saying that young people today don't have a shred of conviction. The woman is completely embarrassed and wonders who these people are who just showed up at the bank. Then manager Fujiwara appears and says they are the ones causing a scene at the entrance. He then calls manager Natsuki by her name and begins to introduce the important men who are there. The manager introduces Vice President Yamada, Manager Sato, and even the president of ABC Trust. The manager is shocked, as they are all bigwigs in the financial world, and wonders what they want. Fujiwara asks them not to make a scene and to wait in the VIP room for Matsushim's arrival. The men complain that the manager wants our hero all to himself, and that they want to meet him too. The manager then understands that all those important men are there because of our guy. Fujiwara says that since she is the assistant manager, she needs to learn how to handle this type of important situation. With that, the woman bows and asks them to guide her well, and the men are shocked by her age. The men then get annoyed and accuse manager Fujiwara of abusing his power with the young woman. He denies everything but says it's impressive that she's an assistant manager at such a young age, and her phone vibrates. The manager answers her phone, and it's our hero asking if she can deposit 597. The other men overhear the name and confirm there's no mistake, as no one deposits that amount. With a smile, Fujiwara reveals that Natsuki was the first to assist the rich guy, which is why she was promoted. Changing their tune, the men praise her and ask her to arrange a dinner with our protagonist. We see the building where our protagonist currently lives. Side manager Yanaji arrives completely exhausted and out of breath. Matsushim then offers the woman a bottle of water and praises her work. She accepts and says she did it all to protect his privacy. The manager recalls that she had to take 3 buzzes and run to shake off the other bigwigs. Our hero is surprised by the chase and says the attackers didn't seem to be from the financial world. He then wonders if he was attacked for spending too much money on that livestream. Suddenly, the phone in Matsushim's pocket starts vibrating, pulling him from his thoughts. Our guy takes out the device and sees a message from Meridian, asking him out at 6. He thinks this is great, as he can use the date to get some clues about the goons. At the Mana restaurant, our protagonist arrives for his date with the streamer. Right at the entrance, a waiter approaches him and asks if he has a reservation. With that, Matsushim realizes he doesn't know the woman's real name, only her stream handle. The employee then says he can lead him to an available seat without any problem. But another man appears and yells at the waiter, calling him Yoshi and asking what he's doing. The man scolds Yoshi and says that Mrs. Ito in the VIP room likes lilies of the valley. He continues the scolding and threatens to fire the guy if the important client gets upset. Then he turns to our hero and tells him to leave, judging him by his simple clothes. At that moment, our guy's phone rings, and it's Meridian asking where he is. He replies that he's in the lobby, and the annoyed employee tells him to take the call outside. Suddenly, someone taps our protagonist on the shoulder while he's still on the call. The woman introduces herself as Ito Marika, the famous streamer Meridian, to our hero's surprise. The employee is shocked and asks if the guy is with her, and the woman confirms it. With a smile, our protagonist says he's not security and that he's actually a customer. The man then panics and apologizes profusely for his rudeness to the guy. Our hero ignores the guy and comments about being judged by his appearance, asking to be taken to their table. Marika gets all embarrassed and says that Matsushim really likes to make jokes and mess around. At their table, the waiter points to the lilies of the valley that were prepared for the client. The employee asks for their order, and the woman says the usual, and our hero asks not to use san. The streamer blushes and says he is her benefactor, so she needs to be respectful. Matsushim says he'll have the same as the woman, and the employee laughs, thinking he's a broke loser. The other waiter then asks if Miss Ito will be having her usual wine to go with the meal. The woman asks what our hero will be drinking, and he asks for a soda because he doesn't like wine. Yoshi says they don't serve that there, but finds it rare for someone to prefer soda. But the other man interrupts him and says they can serve it if the customer wants, and Matsushim gets annoyed. Walking away, the employee mutters and calls our guy Miss Ito's little boy toy. He then looks at another customer and complains that the quality of people in the place is really low. That customer seems to be checking out pretty women around the restaurant without a care. Suddenly, he sees Meridian at the other table and comments that she's quite a cutie and interesting. The man then turns to his companion and invites her for another round in a seductive way. Back at our hero's table, the waiter arrives with a giant king crab from the North Sea. The woman then says she needs to use the restroom and tells our protagonist to start eating. As soon as Meridian leaves, the other guy's companion approaches the table and compliments the dish. She is amazed by the size of the crab and says it looks very good to eat. The woman offers herself and Matsushima, surprised, asks who the woman is. Protagonist asks if she wants to eat, and she says yes. Our hero then scoffs and says that even in a fancy hotel, people show up looking for a free meal. The woman gets furious and yells at him to stop looking down on people like that. With a smirk, he tells her to hold on to her food properly so no one steals it. Suddenly, the woman accuses our protagonist of touching her on purpose. He denies it immediately and swears he didn't lay a finger on her and that she's mistaken. She doesn't believe him and accuses him of harassment, saying he's still trying to deny what he did. Angrily, the woman calls him the worst and throws a glass of water right in our hero's face. Except the water misses and hits the guy at the other table squarely, getting him all wet. Meridian returns and defends our hero, saying the woman crossed the line with her accusation. She refuses to apologize and insists he was the one who started the whole mess in the first place. The woman then asks who Meridian is to demand an apology from her like that. At that moment, the waiter appears and says he checked the security cameras at Miss Ito's request. He shows the recording and proves that the woman was the one who approached our guy's table first. With no way to deny it, the woman says that maybe she stumbled and he was just trying to help her from falling. The woman refuses to apologize, and Meridian asks the manager to notify other restaurants. Angrily, the streamer demands that the woman be banned, and the manager agrees to make the arrangements. The woman is shocked and wonders who this girl is and where all her power comes from. Just then, Meridian takes advantage of the distraction and snaps a photo of the woman's stunned face. She asks why she took the picture, and the streamer says it's to warn everyone on social media. Marika says she owes our hero a favor and is going to clear his name. The woman panics and becomes desperate because she won't be able to scam money from people anymore. Suddenly, the man from the other table appears and apologizes, saying his friend is drunk. He offers to pay for their meal as an apology and asks them not to report the woman. The guy, named Shouta, then tells the woman to apologize and get out of there as fast as possible. No other choice, the woman bows and apologizes to our protagonist and Meridian. With the mess sorted out, the streamer finally sits back down at her place at the table. Marika asks who the man is, and he introduces himself as Shouta Najima from the South District. She asks what our guy wants to do, and he says whatever, since he just wanted a free meal. With a mischievous smile, the streamer asks if they can order whatever they want since he's paying. Shouta agrees and says they can order anything they like while our hero sips his soda. With that, one of the restaurant employees serves a beautiful glass of wine to the streamer. The guy thinks his plan got out of hand but believes he can still fix it. He thinks her choice is obvious between a rich guy and a broke loser like our guy. Shouta is confident he'll win her over because he's done it many times before, and it always works. After eating, Marika asks our protagonist to go for a walk, and he agrees right away. The other guy is shocked and can't believe they're leaving without even saying goodbye to him. Shouta then runs over and invites the woman for a stroll in Baytown since he's also heading there. With a look of disgust, the streamer asks why she would go anywhere with him. Awkwardly, he suggests exchanging contacts, but the woman refuses the offer and completely ignores him. Just then, the waiter appears with the bill and informs the guy it's time to pay for the meal. He panics when he sees the bill comes out to 3.2 kidneys and he doesn't have the money. Meridian says she knew from the start that he was a scumbag who deceives women. She offers to pay the bill if he apologizes, but the guy gets even more irritated. Furious, Shouta raises his hand and threatens the streamer, saying she'll regret this. But our hero stops the blow, grabbing the guy's arm and asking if he's really going to hit her. Shouta screams in pain and asks what gang our hero belongs to be so bold. Our protagonist replies with a serious face that he doesn't need to be part of any group. At this, the guy points and says he must be the boss of the area and invites him to settle it with their fists. Meridian then grabs our guy by the arm and tells him to just ignore it and leave. Then we see the entrance of the restaurant where our guy is, with several sports cars parked out front. As our guy and Meridian walk out of the restaurant, they are approached. One of the bank's investors, named Yamada, approaches them, quite out of breath. Meridian's jaw drops as she recognizes the man and calls out Uncle Yamada, in surprise. Shouta, who is also there, is shocked because he is the vice president of the development bank. Yamada then greets Marika happily and says it's great to run into her there. He then turns and shakes our hero's hand, saying it's a great honor to meet him. Other bigwigs appear and ask our guy to consider investing in their companies. Shouta is completely dumbfounded to see so many important, rich people wanting to talk to the guy. He doesn't understand how this guy he judged to be a broke loser is someone so influential. Our protagonist then looks down at all of them from the top of the stairs and says his conditions are simple. With a smile, he flips a coin and says that whoever finds out who attacked him wins the investment. The men agree to the competition and guarantee they'll bring back good news soon. With that, all the bigwigs leave the place and rush to their luxury cars outside. Marika then apologizes to our hero and asks if she should delete her account for exposing him. But our protagonist reassures her and says it's fine because he needed to talk to them anyway. Suddenly, Shouta appears again and tells our hero to wait a moment. Our guy then turns and asks what he wants. Then the man appears with 2 goons and says he's going to treat our hero very well. Shouta then yells for his men to act. Our hero watches, unsure of what they are going to do. Shouta then picks up a can of coconut milk and holds it up as if it were a powerful weapon. The streamer is completely confused and wonders why he's holding that. At that, the 3 men start drinking the coconut milk in a very strange and bizarre way. Shouta strikes a pose and says the South District is famous for this and offers some to our hero. With a bored look, our protagonist asks what the hell he is trying to do. Suddenly, Shouta kneels and begs for forgiveness, saying he was completely wrong. He offers to help find who attacked our hero and says he knows the underworld. Our protagonist then agrees to give the guy a chance, who thanks him profusely. Just then, the restaurant owner appears and offers a VIP card to our guy as an apology. The man then asks Matsushima if he was satisfied with the service at the establishment. Our hero says it wasn't bad, but that he would like to comment on a business matter that displeased him. The owner's face turns pale instantly, as he already knows a scolding is coming. Matsushima looks at the waiter and recalls how he went out of his way to teach the protagonist that rich people drink wine, not soda. Without a second thought, the owner fires the employee, who despairs as his career is now over. We see the protagonist's sister saying goodbye to Mika. Smiles and also says goodbye. Saki walks up the stairs, thinking how lucky she was to meet Senpai Yamada and learn from her. In a flashback, we see Mika helping Saki with a difficult economics problem in class. We find out that Saki is the smartest girl at the university and very popular there. In the dorm, she wonders if her senpai has a boyfriend, but her roommates glare at her with envy. Saki enters the room, and her roommates stare at her with a very unfriendly look. Not understanding at all, the girl asks what they are talking about. Suddenly, she notices something strange and sees her books thrown in the trash. Startled, the woman picks up the books and asks why they are there. One of the girls mockingly replies that she thought she didn't need them anymore. Just then, Saki looks at her bed and sees that the mattress is completely soaked. Another roommate says that one of them tripped and accidentally spilled water on the bed. The third girl glares at her angrily and asks if she has a problem with that. The poor girl is left speechless and does nothing. The 3 envious girls then stare at her with a victorious and cruel smile on their faces. So, our guy was called to the university. Our guy is furious. He asks if it's true that his sister is in trouble. He then bursts into a room and yells, asking if his little sister is being bullied there. Saki turns around, surprised, and tries to calm her brother down, saying everything is fine. At this, the 3 girls who were bothering her blush at the protagonist. He approaches Saki and comforts her, saying that her big brother has arrived to help. A woman with glasses then asks if he is Saki's brother and confirms that there has been a problem. He greets her and tells Mrs. Sawai that he has already understood the basics of the whole situation. The guy glares at the girls and says the school needs to take this matter very seriously. The woman agrees and reveals that's why they called Miss Matsushima, our hero. Sawai then turns and asks Saki to explain the incident involving the other 3 students. Our protagonist is confused and asks if his sister is the one at fault because he heard a different story. At this, the 3 girls start crying, saying they've never been treated that way before. Matsushima asks Saki for an explanation, but she just gives a very malicious laugh. Then we have a flashback of what happened with Saki. Saki realized she had to give them a taste of their own medicine. She then snatches the wig off one of the girls and tells her to face her true self. The girl screams in despair as her bald head is revealed. With the sheet in hand, Saki charged forward and wrapped the other one in the completely wet sheet. Desperate, the girl screams for Akane's help. Akane tried to lunge at Saki, easily caught her, and threw her hard onto the floor, and completely defeated the girl. And in the end, she declared that the women of the Matsushima family are powerful. Our protagonist remembers that his sister is a wild one. He then turns to Sawai and says his sister wouldn't attack anyone without some serious provocation. With that, the woman calls him over and asks Miss Matsushima to come a little closer. She says that although there was a reason, Saki admitted to everything, and the solution is to apologize. The woman then adjusts her glasses and assures him she will provide the proper guidance on the matter. At this, our hero agrees and says he will leave the matter in Mrs. Sawai's hands. He then turns and calls the Grover to discuss a way to resolve things outside. But the girls refuse and demand sincerity, not just a simple apology. With a smirk, our protagonist snaps his fingers and asks if they mention sincerity. Suddenly, a man comes running down the hall and says he brought what Matsushima asked for. He hands over a cell phone, a purse, and perfume and asks if this is enough sincerity. The three gold diggers' eyes light up, and they agree that this will do for them. But our hero throws everything on the floor and says he doesn't think those things suit them. With a serious look, he asks why they did that to his sister, because she wouldn't do anything to provoke them. The girls look terrified and realize the situation has gotten very serious for them. Our protagonist says that if they don't talk, he has other ways of finding out the truth. He then threatens to spread the truth around campus, and one of them panics and starts talking. The woman then reveals that they were paid by a student in the same course to harass Saki. Another girl shows her phone and reveals a photo of the guy who paid for it all, Shinji Yamada. With a cold look in his eyes, our hero now knows exactly who his next target is. The scene then changes, and we're back at the front of the university's female dormitory. Inside, Matsushima shows Saki a new apartment and says she can live there. His sister thanks him and says she's going to explore the place, as she might run into someone she knows. In another room, we see Mika facing a problem with her sink. She realizes the pipe is clogged and will need someone to fix it. But when she opens the door, the woman comes face to face with Saki, and both are very surprised. With a smile, Saki recognizes her and asks if her senpai Yamada also lives in this place. Mika is completely embarrassed and surprised to see Saki right there in front of her.